Most people see rusty logging tools and see scrap. A hook goes into a bucket, a saw becomes wall decoration, and an axe meets a grinder until its maker disappears. That is how valuable pieces are lost. Most are not worth thousands by themselves. Common examples can sell cheaply, but rare patterns, desirable makers, complete sets, early forgings, and documented camp history can make one forgotten pile worth several $1,000s. The difference is evidence. Do not grind rust, repaint metal, or discard loose parts. Photograph both faces in side light, measure everything, search for stamps, and compare completed sales, not optimistic asking prices. The same dividing line appears throughout this list. A common, unmarked tool may be honest history and still sell cheaply. The exceptional version carries evidence: a scarce maker, unusual pattern, original parts, or checkable camp history. That distinction matters more than a blanket price guide because it tells you what to inspect before the scrap dealer takes it away. Number 15. Log dogs and skidding hooks. These tools are often mistaken for bent railroad hardware. A log dog is a heavy clamp or hook that bites into timber. Loggers use them to hold timbers together, secure loads, or give horse teams purchase while skidding. Individual log dogs often sell around $10 to $30. One hand-forged chain and hook set reached $66. Age and weight do not create rarity. Inspect the eye, shank, rings, and swivel for a name, town, or patent. A matched pair, original chain, company stamp, or named camp history can change the story. Do not straighten the curve or weld a crack. Keep every odd ring. It may prove how the rig worked. Number 14. Pickaroons and pulp hooks. A pickaroon looks like somebody ruined a small axe. Its narrow point curves toward the handle, allowing a logger to pull slabs, pulpwood, or loose logs. A hookaroon has a more downturned point, while combination forms may add a cutting edge. Examples commonly sell around $10 to $40. A patented combination, scarce maker, intact label, or documented mill history is more interesting. Search the cheek and handle joint for cast letters, a model, or an owner's stamp. Do not sharpen the point until it looks new. Its geometry identifies it, and grinding can erase both shape and mark. Number 13. Barking spuds. A barking spud resembles a long chisel or flattened spear. Its broad edge slipped between bark and wood to peel a trunk, yet it is easily mistaken for a garden edger or pry bar. Common spuds sell around $30 to $60. One 19th century example reached roughly $116. Buyer's judge maker, forging, curve, handle, and age. Some ends are straight and others curved to follow the log. Search the blade and socket for Collins, Legitimus, Warren, Snow, and Neely, or a local smith. Never grind a bright edge. Keep even a split original handle. It may preserve initials, a camp number, and the correct proportions. Number 12. Pike poles and jam pikes. The pike pole is the long tool seen in river drive photographs. Its point pushed logs away, some heads added a hook, and drivers used the shaft for balance. Many shafts were shortened or lost. A complete pole with original head, ferrule, and working length shaft is better than a loose spike. Firefighters and boatmen use related poles, so shape alone proves little. Inspect the head for a maker and the wood for painted bands, initials, or inventory numbers. A documented river drive pole outranks an anonymous spike. Never test an old shaft by leaning on it. Dry rot can make it dangerous. Preserve its history instead of adding fresh finish. Number 11. Peaveys and cant hooks. These tools are constantly confused. Both use a wooden lever and swinging dog to roll a log. The peavey adds a pointed spike. The cant hook normally ends in a blunt toe or toe ring. Incomplete heads have sold around $20 to $30, while a marked American logging tool company cant hook reached $66. Early forging, a patent, original handle, scarce maker, or local history can change the class. Study the hook, collar, toe, and castings for Oshkosh, Warren, Dixie, Peavey, a town, or patent. Do not paint the hardware or replace a stable old handle, and never sell a loose hook as a complete Peavey. Number 10. Log tongs and grab hooks. Log tongs resemble enormous ice tongs. Pulling the ring or chain closes both arms into the timber. Small tongs moved short pieces, heavy ones dragged or hoisted logs. A pair of horse-pulling tongs sold below $20 and signed Oshkosh hooks around $25. Size is not rarity. Many survived because they were awkward to discard. Study jaw shape, pivot, maker, and original ring or swivel. Keep related binders and blocks with the tool. Never suspend weight or place your hands between the jaws. Corrosion can hide a cracked pivot. Number 9. Logging springboard irons. This small iron once carried a faller beside a giant tree. Pacific Northwest loggers inserted it into a trunk notch, attached a board, and stood above the swollen base while cutting. It may resemble a tapered bracket, tooth shoe, or steel tongue. Reproductions exist, so rust proves nothing. Look for maker, patent, original bolts, a matched pair, surviving board, or camp photograph. Some sellers ask hundreds, but an asking price is not a sale. Compare the exact form. Never stand on antique hardware. Hidden cracks make that dangerous. Preserve its measurements and working scars. Number 8. Log marking hammers and marking axes. A marking hammer or axe carried raised letters, numbers, or a company symbol. Struck into a log end, it identified the timber through a river drive or yard. Anonymous log stamps often sell around $20 to $46. Value rises when the symbol matches a registered mark named company, agency, river, or camp. Examine the raised face before cleaning. Count every character and search the reverse for a maker. Some combine a cutting bit with the stamp. Do not confuse them with branding irons or railroad tools without evidence. Never file the letters. Their irregularities may connect the tool to old records. Make an impression in soft clay, photograph it, and record where it was found. Without the story, it may be $30. With a documented mark, it becomes named history. Number 7. Timber scribes and raised knives. A timber scribe is the pocket-sized surprise. Folding forms resemble pocket knives and may contain a hooked scribing blade, knife, awl, or corkscrew. Raised knives cut related layout grooves. One folding IXL Wostenholm timber scribe sold for about $158. That does not make every broken pocket knife valuable. It shows what correct identification can do. Look for a hooked blade or V-shaped cutter before assuming it was broken. Search tangs, liners, and scales for maker or patent. Original scales, intact spring, and complete tools beat polish. Never force a rusted folder or buff it. One broken spring can turn a collectible into parts. Number 6. Log rules, timber scales, and walking wheel calipers. Some valuable logging tools measured money. A scaler used diameter and length to estimate board feet. Scribner and Doyle scales could give different totals, so the printed scale matters. The dramatic version combines sliding caliper jaws with a spiked wheel. The jaws measure diameter and the wheel measures length. It was a calculating instrument, not decoration. William Greenleaf made calipers in Littleton, New Hampshire, and his daughter Florence, known as Flossie, continued the work. Her name and address, or assigned C.W. Grover wheel, are important clues. The market difference is remarkable. One Florence Greenleaf caliper recorded $1,695 and another $1,610. An unsigned oak example described only as Greenleaf style sold in 2024 for $209.10, an 8-fold gap. Signature, completeness, and condition created the difference, not the wheel alone. Read every surface before applying oil. Look for green leaf, Grover, addresses, scales, mill names, patents, and graduations. Keep cases and tally books. Never sand the beam, polish engraving, force the jaws, or roll a fragile wheel. A faint signature can outweigh all the shine you could add. Number 5. Crosscut-saw filing tools. These pieces are often discarded as odd clamps and gauges. A saw filer used jointers, raker gauges, swages, spiders, files, and a vise. Cutter teeth opened the kerf, while rakers removed wood. Tiny measurements separated a smooth saw from the misery whip. The accessories can be worth more than the saw. Simon's Crescent. Number 340 raker gauge sold for $76. Anderson gauges have reached around $80 each, and a 2-gauge lot exceeded $221. Complete sets with their box and instructions interest both collectors and working saw filers. Look for Anderson, Simons, Atkins, Diston, and cast model numbers. Keep every screw, spider, file holder, and chart together. Never wire wheel a gauge, twist its adjusters, or file its working surface. The smallest tools in a saw chest may hold its strongest value. Number 4. 2-man and 1-man crosscut saws. The giant crosscut saw symbolizes hand logging, but size is not value. 2-person saws felled and bucked timber. 1-person versions may accept a helper handle. Tooth patterns include lance and champion, while better blades may be taper ground. The sales expose the difference between decoration and a collectible working tool. An unmarked 67-inch saw with handles sold for $22, while another unmarked 6-footer brought $52.50. Mark Simon's examples have completed around $60 to $110. Those are useful reality checks. Judge maker etch, model, length, tooth pattern, straightness, grind, and handles. Examine the blade in raking light because an etch may hide under rust. Never sharpen casually. Roll a brittle blade tightly or paint over an etch. A correctly identified complete saw belongs to a different market. Number 3. Broad axes and hewing axes. A broad axe is not merely an oversized chopping axe. Its wide blade hewed a round log into a flat-sided timber. Many examples are beveled mostly on one face and nearly flat on the other, allowing the worker to cut close to a straight line. The handle may sweep away from the timber to protect the user's knuckles. The value spread can be dramatic. A marked William Mann broad axe sold for $66. A lot of 5 broad axes brought $122 with premium. But a pair of early forged goosewing broad axes reached $625. The category was similar. The age, form, and collector appeal were not. Look for a goosewing profile, hand-forged construction, offset eye, asymmetric bevel, original swept handle, decoration, and legible maker. Search carefully for Collins, William Mann, Beatty, Underhill, Douglas, or a local smith without forcing an attribution from a partial mark. Never grind both sides to make the edge symmetrical. That may erase the feature that proves it is a hewing axe. Do not straighten an offset handle or fill forge flaws with weld. Stable surface rust is safer than bright, reshaped steel. On a broad axe, the surviving geometry is the evidence. Number 2. Puget Sound falling and undercutter axes. The long, narrow axe heads of the Pacific Northwest were made for enormous softwood timber. Puget Sound falling patterns and undercutter axes can have unusually long cheeks and cutting edges. To an untrained eye, one may appear stretched or badly worn. To a collector, that regional silhouette is the first clue. A vintage plum Puget Sound pattern head is sold around $76, and a 1,928 Sager falling axe brought $63. A clean Collins logging undercutter with a cutting span near 13.5 inches reached $150.50 after 22 bids. Rare variants can go higher, but the ordinary pattern should never be advertised as a fortune. Inspect both cheeks in angled light for Collins, Sager Chemical, Plum, Kelly, Mann, Warren, year stamps, weight numbers, and paper label ghosts. Measure the entire head and cutting edge. Never correct its long profile on a grinder. That unusual shape is the collectible feature. Preserve old paint and label remnants, and research the correct regional handle before fitting a replacement. Number 1. Kelly Black Raven Axes. The number 1 tool proves the point of this entire list. A rusty axe head may be worth $20, but if a raised raven is hiding beneath that rust, stop everything. Kelly used the Black Raven name on axes with a distinctive bird emblem. A genuine example is identified not by black paint or a story, but by its embossed or etched raven, lettering, pattern, size, bit, and crispness. Completed sales show the range. Single bit embossed examples have reached roughly $213, $360, and $405. Black Raven hatchets have approached $480. Double bit examples have sold around $215, $825, and in a heavily bid sale $1,025. Those results do not guarantee another axe's value, but they prove that the right bird can transform a common-looking head into the centerpiece of a collection. Search both cheeks and side light before applying anything. Do not use a wire wheel, flap disc, vinegar bath, or electrolysis on an unconfirmed head. The process that exposes the logo may also soften it. Do not sharpen the bit for appearance, and never recut a faint emblem. Collectors recognize altered embossing. A black painted axe is not automatically a black raven, and a bird-shaped rust patch is not a logo. Compare the exact emblem and wording with known examples, then check completed sales for the closest pattern. Maker, authenticity, and condition, not the nickname alone, create the value. Now the pile looks different. Add the signed greenleaf caliper at $1,695, the Black Raven double bit at $1,025, the goosewing broad axes at $625, the raker gauges above $221, and the Collins undercutter at $150.50. Those documented examples alone total more than $3,700 before the saws, spuds, hooks, scribes, or their history are counted. The title is not a promise that every rusty tool is worth thousands. It is a warning that one properly identified collection can be. Sort before selling. Keep related pieces together. Photograph marks in side light, measure them, and record the camp, mill, river, or family connected to them. Rust can be stabilized, but a ground-away raven, sanded scale, separated filing kit, or lost story cannot be restored. Yesterday's scrap pile may hold $50 in common iron, or one tool collectors will fight over.